Hi friends, this is Deep Basu and welcome to my channel Think Deep. I'm back and I'm going to review the film Dybbuk. It's a horror film which released today on Amazon Prime. It's a Bollywood film and it stars the very talented serial kisser Emraan Hashmi, the very talented and very beautiful Nikita Dutta. It has Denzel Smith, it has Darshana Banik, it has the very talented seasoned actor Manav Kaul. It's a horror film and it's a remake, official Bollywood remake of the film, Malayalam film called Ezra. I did a very stupid thing. You guys don't do that. Let me warn you. I had watched Ezra in the year 2017. I think 2018 I watched. And I liked the film. I really loved it. It was a horror film. I love horror films. So I got to know that there's going to be a official Hindi remake with Emraan Hashmi, Nikita Dutta. So it finally released. And when I was about to watch Dybbuk, I wanted to be really sure what the story is. And I did a very stupid thing. I watched Ezra 2 days ago because I was forgetting, because I watched it I think 3 years ago and I didn't quite remember the story, the few sequences, the ending. So I was wondering what the story was actually. I just remember Prithviraj, Priya Anand, Tomino Thomas was the main characters. It was a horror film and etc. etc. So I watched Ezra 3 days ago, and so it was a very big mistake. It was a very stupid mistake. So Dybbuk is a frame-to-frame, dialogue-to-dialogue copy of Ezra. So after watching Ezra, I didn't quite feel the chills or the thrills. The entire movie seemed pretty similar to me. So I, as a viewer, now, so everything was very predictable. There was a sense of deja vu throughout. So of course I didn't quite enjoy it in that way. But overall, Dybbuk is quite I wouldn't say a very unique horror film. It's a very standard horror film, and it's been directed by the same director JK. Ezra was his debut film, and congratulations JK for your debut Hindi film. And so coming to the technical, let me discuss the technical aspects of the film. So as I mentioned, Dybbuk is a standard horror film, and you have seen such horror films before like Exorcist, The Haunted House, The Haunted, where you see a lot of possession, you see people getting possessed, you seeing the house haunted, strange circumstances are happening all around you. Who's the person, who's the ghost? So it's a very standard horror film. And by the way, let me mention this before I forget. Ezra, the Malayalam film, was also a remake of a 2012 Hollywood film called The Possession, sorry. So many remakes. And I'm sure The Possession also was a remake of another, maybe a Korean film or something. My God, so many remakes. Which one is original in today's time, we don't know. So technically the movie was quite sound. The visuals was pretty rich. The camera work, everything was pretty similar to the original one. I think Hindi in terms of execution looked richer. And the camera work was similar. Even the movie begins very similarly. The movie ends. Now coming to the script of Dybbuk, they more or less have followed everything. Even the dialogues are pretty similar. But I feel the ending twist is a little different in the Hindi version. If you have watched Ezra, if you remember the twist, I will not give out any spoilers. So don't. So keep watching. I'll not give out any spoilers. The Hindi twist is a very differently done. But somehow I feel the twist in the Malayalam version was better, I felt. And even during the end credit scene, they have kept something open-ended, which is not in the Hindi version. And if I have to compare, I think both the versions were equally, quite equal in terms of execution, in terms of performances. If I have to, now coming to performances, if I have to compare, I don't want to compare first and foremost. Prithviraj is a very different actor. He has a very different range. Emraan Hashmi has a very different range. Same goes with Priya Anand, who accepted the role of the wife, and Nikita Dutta. I think if I have to compare, I think Priya Anand was slightly a notch better. But I don't think it will be fair. Nikita Dutta also has done a good job. Means as far as her range of performance is concerned, I think Nikita Dutta has done a quite justice to the character Mahi. So coming to the story is also similar. The story revolves around this couple, Mahi and this Emraan Hashmi's character. So both of them are going through a very tough phase, a very challenging phase. First and foremost, both of them have had an interfaith marriage. So their parents are against, especially the Mahi's parents are against their marriage, against their love. So they stay separately from the parents, and they are not much in talking terms. And Mahi has just experienced क्या बोलते हैं उसको she has just experienced a miscarriage. So definitely it's a very difficult phase for both the couple, and so both of them decide to start afresh and start a new chapter by going to Mauritius. So Emraan Hashmi, the character, he is basically a scientist. He basically deals in nuclear waste, and so he gets a lucrative job in Mauritius. So he convinces his wife Mahi to accompany him to Mauritius and start a new chapter overall. That's how the movie begins. So Mahi is also a interior designer. So coming to Mauritius, they get a beautiful house, and since he's a very reputed scientist and he's handling a big project, he gets a nice huge house, sprawling house. He gets a lot of resources. He gets a lot of money, and so Mahi decides to decorate the house since she's a very talented interior designer. So why and she wants to give the house a very antique look. So while shopping for the decor in order to do up the house, she discovers and buys a Dybbuk. Not unknowing that's a Dybbuk, she she fancies a nice ancient antique chess box, which is actually a Dybbuk, and she takes it home. Then after that, one night she gets very intrigued seeing the Dybbuk. She opens it and lets out a malicious spirit. Now what really happens, and eventually she gets possessed, and there's certain unforeseen circumstances which the couple faces, and how they deal with it is the entire story. So it's a very standard story. You have heard this kind of story before in other horror films, but this story has its own depth. And by the way, many of my friends and peers were asking, what's a Dybbuk? Dybbuk, if you are very familiar with the Jewish folklore, which I'm not, Dybbuk is an embodied spirit which basically wanders until it gets its host, and they find a body, they will possess it. So that's a Dybbuk basically. It's a spirit, it's an embodied spirit. And Dybbuk basically revolves around the Jewish folklore. So a lot of facts and myths of Jewish folklore is been told in this film, has been mentioned. So I am not at all familiar with the Jewish folklore, so it was something new to me. And the director and the producer and the writer has somewhat spoon fed this entire folklore to us. Naturally, because we are mostly, most of us might know something about the Christians, something about our culture, Hinduism, but Jewish folklore is something very new to me. So they have somewhat spoon fed and gave us a lot of information about the Jewish folklore and etc. etc. So this was the overall story and everything. Performances, I told you, Emraan Hashmi was quite decent, and nowadays I've seen Emraan acting really well. I always liked his work, but I never considered him a very good actor. He was always decent and above average. But after watching Chehre, I can tell you that Emraan is doing really good work, and his acting has really, I can see a notch, difference in his performance. He's quite confident, and nowadays I can see him doing a variety of roles, experimenting. You should watch Chehre. He has done a great performance. He's quite at par with Mr. Bachchan. Coming to Nikita Dutta, as I say, I don't want to compare Nikita Dutta as far as her acting range is concerned. If you have seen her in Big Bull, if you have seen her in other films, music videos, Nikita Dutta has done a decent job. And a good part about this movie is that the women are not stereotyped. The women are not objectified. In horror films, you see the woman always inside the shower, the woman always getting attacked, the women always screaming, the women characters, the female characters. The good part of this film is that women are not objectified. Nikita Dutta's character had a lot of depth and had a good scope for performing. So and and the person who really stands out according to me was Mr. Manav Kaul. He is, I wouldn't tell much about his character. He is a priest, a Jew priest. What do you call a Jew priest? Oh, rabbi. He was a Jew priest, and Manav Kaul has done a great job. And there is Denzel Smith, there is Darshana Banek, and there is also Imad Shah. Imad Shah and Darshana Banek has a special mention for both of them. They've done a good job, quite decent, though they have less screen time, but it's quite important. The characters are very important. So Imad Shah, Darshana Banek have done a good job, decent. So overall, the performances, everyone have played their part pretty decently. So overall, Dybbuk, I would say it's a standard horror film. It's definitely you will see a lot of cliches. There are few scary moments. So if you have not watched Ezra, don't watch Ezra. If you have watched Ezra and you don't remember Ezra, it's okay. Watch Dybbuk. And if you're not comfortable in watching horror movies at night, don't watch Dybbuk because there are certain sequences are scary. Not that scary also, but they are quite scary. And it will remind you of Exorcist if you find Exorcist scary. So you might find this scary as well. But overall, I think the only thing which uplifts this cliche film is the ending and the backstory. These two aspects which really uplifts this usual standard horror film. And good part about this Emraan Hashmi film is that it has no songs. I think even Chere had no songs. Even this has no songs. Because if you see previous horror films, Emraan Hashmi was part of Raz 2, Raz Reboot. Each and every film had this long drawn songs. This movie has no songs. So quickly, 1 hour 45 minutes, Dybbuk will get over. So the runtime is quite tight. The editing is also quite good. So that's one good thing. Yeah, no songs. Yeah, the song makes a horror film really boring. I know. I'm sure most of you will agree with me. So this is my review for Dybbuk. I'll be back again and with a new film with a new review. My God, it's already 12 minutes. I was expecting it to be at least 8 minutes. Yeah, why do I always keep talking? And I know. Anyway, guys, sorry. I'll be back soon. Please subscribe to my channel and my Instagram page. Think Deep Basu. Bye.